Hi everyone, I'm Janelle Baum, commonly known in the social media world as the Ortho Influencer. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But I am here today on this wonderful podcast to talk to you about how I learned the art of being a successful TC. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how social media can help with your office and even help with patient compliance and communication and a bunch of other benefits.
Orthomarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello everybody in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing, and we are back with another podcast for you. And let me tell you, everybody, buckle up. I don't think I've been this excited to have a guest on it forever. All right, so guys, this is going to be a game changer for you. So I am so excited for today's guest, and I've got Janelle Baum with me. Janelle is known throughout the industry as the Ortho Influencer. All right, Janelle, she's incredible. She's full of entertainment, education, just like our podcast. We like to entertain and educate you. But now we're going to go off the charts today. So we're going to say, buckle up, get ready. So now it's time for you all to meet, Janelle Baum, and we're going to walk you through a few great programs today on, how to take your practice to the next level, unleashing creativity, boosting patient compliance, and communication. So, Janelle Baum, welcome. How are you today?
I am so good. I greatly appreciate that fabulous introduction, and I am equally as excited to be here today.
Awesome. So psyched to have you. So, we met online and, throughout our industry, blah, blah, and we had some few conversations and we just hit it off well, and it made my day. So I'm really excited to have you on here. So let's back up a little bit. Janelle Baum, tell us your story, because you've got an interesting story. You wear many hats, but don't wear too many because you don't want to cover up that great hairdo there. So tell us a little bit about Janelle Baum, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, great. So I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet because it is quite a story. So I have been known in the ortho community as a treatment coordinator with Aszkler Orthodontics, where I was the treatment or the TC there for the last 7 years. And I recently resigned, and I'm now a sales and marketing rep for an online social media course where we teach orthodontic offices how to do social media the right way. But before all that, I had zero experience in the ortho industry. I came from a background in clowning. I am a certified clown, and I went to clown college to learn how to do all that. I have a degree in stage design from Buff State College, a Bachelor of Arts degree, where I was a prop master for a long time before I became a stay-at-home mom. And then I came and started working all sorts of little receptionist jobs just out of the house while I was a stay-at-home mom, working in general dentistry, where I worked about 10 years there, and then hopped into ortho just by coincidence. My friend was a TC at Aszkler Ortho, and she's like, you need to come here. You would love the patients, working with adults and kids and your humor and all that. So I jumped in very part-time. I only worked a couple hours a day while my kids were in preschool. And then the girl who was on maternity leave that I was filling in for decided to be a stay-at-home mom herself, and they offered me a full-time position. So I loved Dr. Rob. I loved the team. I loved ortho. And then I quickly got promoted to be a treatment coordinator. And with that, I, again, had zero experience, but we're going to talk about how I gained all that experience in the show. So, it's been a great ride, and I absolutely love ortho and love what I'm doing.
Isn't it great? I always say that we're in the smile business, and there's nothing better than smile. I've listened to my podcast before. You hear me quote the great Jerry Garcia all the time. Nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. And it's, the fact that it's my business, we can make our clients smile, and orthodontists are game changers for people, make them smile. Nothing better than that, to be in the smile business. So, so again, we're going to talk about unleashing creativity, boosting patient compliance, and communications. All right. So you have to stand out, in any business these days. What makes you different? So many businesses are a commodity. If somebody does a search for an orthodontist over Invisalign near me, you'll see so many different options, from orthodontist to dentist to direct-to-consumer programs. So, how do somebody stand out? What makes them to be a little creative? So, let's talk a little bit about that. Before we do, in my eyes, a TC is probably the most important job at a practice. They're the ones that were face-to-face with new patients. talking about the practice, showing them, that, what's their smile would be like or whatever it is. So, and it's an art. So let's talk about that. How did you learn the art of being a TC, and what makes a really good TC in your eyes?
Great question. So like I said, I got promoted to that job and I had zero experience. My experience came from collecting a $30 copay up at the front desk and rescheduling a retainer check, things like that. Now I was faced with presenting maybe like this big robotic herpes appliance in a patient's mouth and saying, hey, here's the $6,000 treatment plan. So with that inexperience and with my training, I received great training from Dr. Rob and the team, but I felt like it was very robotic and just like, do this, do this, do this. And so I found that both myself and the patients were a deer in headlight when it came to this kind of stuff. So to get myself comfortable, I just went back to my old roots and was like, okay, what makes me comfortable? Well, that's making people laugh. So I'm like, I have to, tune into my inner clown. I also have improv, as an improv actor and things like that. So I'm like, why don't I just turn this whole consult into an experience? So from Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, I'm having fun. So I learned a lot through just online education, YouTube, how these appliances work. There's a ton of great videos out there. Dr. Rob, of course, from Aszkler Ortho shared with me and educated me. Just being experienced by stepping into the clinic and watching the team members there explain this type of, appliance to patients and things like that. But continuous improvement is key. I did receive training through and certification through like Trapezio and things like that, which was awesome. But the best way for me to learn was ground myself on who I am and bring that into the office. And then that helped establish relationships. And that's what really took off the success of Aszkler Ortho. I come in on evenings, weekends with my family. I don't know how to do the cheek retractor photos and things like that. I don't know how to take x-rays the right way. So yes, I'm practicing on patients in the office, but I really had to get comfortable doing this stuff that I thought was foreign to me, which then became natural. But so I definitely encourage TCs listening. If you feel foreign going into a patient's mouth or talking financials, practice with your team members, practice with your doctor, practice with your loved ones, because that's what's going to give you that familiarity and that comfort of just doing this routinely throughout the day. So I definitely recommend you doing that and just listening to great podcasts in the ortho industry. Like this one, staying active on following bracket companies, aligner companies, orthodontic companies on social media, and building relationship with the vendors and those companies really helped me not only understand the product even more, but then I became more knowledgeable through those relationships and things like that. And that helped really refine my abilities as a treatment coordinator.
One tip would you be able to give that behind the scenes that, so here's you give basic stuff, learn, educate, blah, blah, blah. But let's go one step further. One tip that you could give a TC or a doctor listening now that they could potentially do it in their next consult today that might put somebody over the top to say, yeah, I'd love it to start today. What's one thing that you think might be able to move the needle today for somebody that just by hearing this, they can say, okay, I'll try that.
I have a lot of tips, but props was always fun for me. I loved bringing in props because people are visual learners and it was things that would stand out and would be obnoxious. Not everyone's a clown. You don't have to be a clown to use props, but or have a theatrical, degree in stage design and prop making, but props that were related to the patient's appliance or something that was big and obnoxious that really reminded them about what we're going to be going through in ortho really helped the patients be compliant because they remembered like, oh yeah, Janelle showed me this, this, and this in the consult. That's right. And then they're a little bit more compliant and things like that. So just anything that's going to help you stand out. That's what I'm constantly trying to drive into people is think of ways for you to grab your patient's attention, stand out in a creative way.
And again, make them smile, make them smile beforehand, make them smile during and after, make them smile. That is a game changer. So I love that idea. Now, let's talk about, the two great words in marketing these days, social media. How can social media help with getting patients compliant and communication?
So there's a lot of ways that we were finding that social media really helped boost the compliance over at Aszkler Ortho. And it was because we first learned by not necessarily the mistakes we're making, but we learned through the patient's way of learning. honest to God, I found that through experience, almost all my patients would come into the consult sitting on their phone. And while I was signing the agreement and going over the important, rules and regulations with ortho treatment or financials, they were just like, signing the contract, but also scrolling through their phone. And I said, why don't we speak to the patients in a language that they understand, which is social media. So we came up with funny parodies for different compliance issues, like reasons on why you have to wear your rubber band and things like that. There was different videos we would make that we would send to them and post on social media so that after they signed the agreement, a text would go out. We were super strict with the way the protocols and who sent these videos and things like that. But it was congratulating them on starting treatment. And then it would take them right to maybe our Instagram or YouTube page. Most of the time it was YouTube. And it would show them, hey, congratulations for starting your Invisalign treatment. Don't forget, you're going to have these attachments on your teeth. Just remember, they're going to be a little annoying at the start, but you're going to get through them. And without them, your teeth won't shift. All of this stuff. And then we just congratulated them on starting treatment, more things to expect, because they paid more attention to that vibrant, fun video of doctor talking or us being silly in it more than they did with us handing them a piece of paper of saying, don't forget all of this when you start your Invisalign treatment or whatever it may be. So talking to them through video and through posting on social media and stuff, they were following us. So because they were following our content and it was relatable and it was funny and it was humorous and it was visually appealing, they were watching our videos that all talked about things you should or shouldn't eat with braces or aligners and how to take care of your teeth. So in turn, we were seeing less issues, less complaints, and less questions from both parents and patients when they would come to the clinic for their appointment.
So you think, you're pre-educating them before they would come in so they understand what to expect in the journey. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
We educated them. We currently educated them and post-educated them. We had a video for everything.
So in my eyes, it's a lot of practices, getting content from them and having them do this is stepping out of their comfort zone. And and it's very hard for somebody to do so and feel comfortable, or, they'll feel like they're embarrassed. So what tip would you give for a doctor or a TC or even a staff to step out of the comfort zone and to start jumping in? Listen, if you don't put one foot in the water, you can't put your knee in, and you can't get your body in, and you can't start swimming. So,
right.
So from my side, there's obviously challenges getting practices to just buy into social media and give content and post things up. So what bit of advice would you give a practice in order to start? Just get their feet in the water, to step out the comfort zone. It's like, I don't want to get on camera. I don't want to dance. I don't want to do that silly stuff. So, what would you say to them to get going?
Yeah, well, to be honest, you got to find someone in your office that is comfortable, whether it's through voiceover or being in front of the camera. I was the one at Aszkler that was the most comfortable. Anytime there was a camera, I'd run a mile to get in front of it. So many people out there like that. Right. So what I would recommend is you can always do just like a little typodon of a patient's or like a typodon of braces or whatever. Videotape that with your voice going over it and pointing to different, parts and pieces of the bracket if you're doing these educational videos. Same with the aligners, things like that. So having a voiceover, you don't need to be successful on social media by having your face in there. There's so many accounts out there that are literally just showing the typodont and the foods you cannot eat, or using just the patient's mouth or any other instrument. So start there. In order to get comfortable in front of the camera, some people completely clam up and they change their tone of voice and the way they look and all of that. You don't want to put anyone in that uncomfortable position. But to get comfortable, Steinman was just at the Light Force conference speaking, and she said how she started to get comfortable in front of the camera. She can speak on stage all day long, but to get comfortable in front of the camera, she started practicing with the app called Marco Polo, where you just video chat back and forth with your friends and family on it. And you see yourself in the video, you can re-record all of that. So I think that's great advice, but even using filters, whether it be on Instagram or Snapchat, whatever it may be, and downloading that and having a filter on your face, you feel like you're more in disguise. Obviously, you want to be more professional. You wouldn't send a bunny rabbit filter to an adult patient, but if there's a phase one patient's coming in, you want to educate them or get them excited about their consult, maybe starting that way too. I always encourage fun props and costumes. Like I said, I have a theatrical background, so I'm always collecting everything, funny wigs, hats, sunglasses, you name it. So a lot of times my team members, I would bring that to the office when I knew we had a TikTok that I needed team members for. And they were more than happy to put that stuff on. And they felt like they were in disguise, which made it really successful for everyone.
Love that. So obviously educating is easy to do, especially if you're not putting on a face, but then the entertaining part is the hard, and you have to have the right balance. You don't want to come off corny or silly. You want to be respected. So, if wearing a costume is, how do you, walk across that line there without somebody saying, well, this person is a fool, so where do you make it so it's not too over the top, but at the same time, it's going to make somebody smile and, be able to make them comfortable.
Well, what's great with Instagram is there's those different bubbles when you go to a person's page with different highlighted features. Maybe start with just posting to stories, because the stories is what puts it in those highlighted features. And starting off by having, don't go overboard with characters, because you want to kind of create a brand around yourself. And not all orthodontic offices or any business out there should be funny, but it's just kind of, if they have like a staple that kind of speaks their office brand or things like that, try to find a prop or something fun and colorful that matches their logo or relates to their niche per se, that they can maybe find. There's so many different companies out there. There's Fathead that you can type in what you want to be made large, and they can make an extra large, toothbrush or whatever. So using things like that and in your videos and things like that, start small with just the story, see what kind of reaction you get, watch your analytics on it and see if, it's reaching a community. I can't tell you how many times though adults came into our office wanting to be on our TikToks or asking to be on it or just telling us what a phenomenal job we're doing. And we had a really good balance of Dr. Rob being super formal in these videos and talking like he should. And those educational videos, I think you have to be more serious on, but creating content to help, showcase your fun office culture. I would hope every ortho office or business listening has a fun office culture and isn't boring. And so you just got to find a creative way to exploit that fun office culture on your social media.
So let's just take one more step forward now. So somebody buys in and they do it. How often would you suggest to put content up? Obviously, the more, the better,
Right.
But a lot of people are like, I can't do it every day. I can't do it multiple times a day. So realistically, again, putting so now we just put a few toes in the water. Now let's get up to our knees in the water. Okay. In the shallow end. How often realistically should you plan to put something up on your social?
So consistency is key. These algorithms will shadow ban you if you decide to just post once and then not post again for 3 months and then go to post. It's going to kind of shadow ban you because it's going to think you're not using, these platforms. If you are being more consistent, and most importantly, with consistency comes engagement. If you're using the features like the DMing on Instagram and the messaging on Facebook and TikTok and things like that, you're going to make those algorithm engineers a little bit happier, and they're going to start to push out your content, if it's good content, a little bit more. So being engaged is just as important as being consistent, and consistent is different for everyone. For me, I try to post every day, Monday through Friday, okay? And that's on my Ortho Influencer page. That's the page I'm trying to grow. So that's where consistency is key. If you're listening to this and you just have a general personal page and you're not worried about algorithms and you're just there to entertain friends and family, you don't need to listen to this advice. But if you're truly trying to grow your orthodontic office and bring in new patients, coming up with really good creative content that's visually appealing is super important. If you post 3 times a week, if that's what consistency is for you, that's great. We don't want, we or whoever, there should be no stress behind it. If you're finding yourself super stressed out with creating content and things like that, that's when you need to have a meeting with your marketing team or your admin team, whoever it is in your office that's really gung-ho about posting to social media and doing the marketing, and really try to find ways to, create some accountability within each other. And I think before you know it, every orthodontic office is going to have a social media coordinator or manager in their office. And then it's not going to be just ortho, restaurants, spas, you name it.
Right, you need it. That's one of the things that we do for our clients is every month they get a calendar of what to post, and here's what we're posting, and here's things you need to do in the office and get involved, like National Pet Day or things like that. And also, I always tell people, look outside the 4 walls. People, you're also part of a community. So if you see something outside in town, a new restaurant opens, or you see something cool in town or whatever, that's what people want to see. That it's it's great. You want to take pictures inside the mouth, but also why would somebody share that? So so it's important to do that. So in closing, this is great. So in closing, what bit of advice would you be able to give a practice in order to stay up to latest trends, or to keep up to date with ideas and what have you? What do you do to keep up to date? And if you could give it to, obviously besides this great ortho marketing podcast, whether what do you use for your education?
So my doctor was always very big on putting a ton of value into me as a treatment coordinator and our team by sending us to conferences. So if doctors are listening, I encourage you to invest in your team members and send them to great conferences. There's an orthodontic conference almost every month. If it's not in person, there's virtual ones. There's treatment coordinator masteries that are out there. Send your TC to those, sign them up for them. Encourage them to listen to podcasts. Go online and Google orthodontic podcasts, and there's going to be a list of them. There's great consultants out there that are even interviewing doctors and CEOs of orthodontic companies. Listening to them and listening to their strategies and the new trends that their office or their company's providing is crucial. Staying up to date with social media platforms. There's so many groups out there for not just treatment coordinators, but assistants and financial coordinators and office managers. Being a part of that and staying engaged, it's huge. It's a great support system because you can ask questions and then people are tagging other companies. So it's great for marketing other companies or showcasing those other companies and things like that. And just taking time to invest in yourself. I'm super obsessed with learning and I never want to stop. And so just listening to podcasts, reading books, I'm even though I'm not in an office, my boss, Ben, is still sending me to conferences so I can stay up to trends. So when I talk to orthodontists every day, I know what's going on and what's happening and things like that. And just finding a mentor is huge. And just, creating group chats with peers. I have a group chat with a bunch of TCs, and it's not just a thing where we can, complain like, oh, a patient came in today and didn't have their insurance with them, blah, blah. It's just nice to have something relatable to talk about. But then you're learning about all these new ways to overcome objectives and things like that. And in turn, it's going to help your office grow and do better.
Interesting. This was great. So two more questions in closing. Number one, so I don't know if you saw on Twitter just now, but I just saw an asteroid is hitting New York this afternoon. So you got an hour to eat your last meal. What is it?
Oh my God, that's funny. Well, as you're saying this, I'm like, oh, I'm not on Twitter. And then you're like an asteroid. I'm like, is turning. Oh, geez, the last thing I would eat. You know what? I'm going to say drink. I am going to have a margarita.
A margarita?
Yep.
What kind of tequila?
Any tequila is totally fine. It's funny.
Okay.
I might go to a restaurant and they ask, I'm like, you surprise me.
Really?
Because
Okay.
an experience is creating conversation. Then they feel like they're in control. So it just creates one moment.
Okay. Love that. All right. So she's a tequila girl. We'll keep note of that. All right. And last question. If you could basically pick anybody from in the history of the world to have lunch with, who are you picking?
I would pick, and it's a little bit of a funny story, and because I'm a storyteller, but I would say Ellen DeGeneres because I love her humor and she's witty and sarcastic and she's just great. And when I got married back in 2009, I heard she was certified to marry people. So we went on a 6-month project. All my friends and family emailed her for 6 months straight saying, would you come to Buffalo? My friend Janelle will pay for you to come here to marry her. And after 6 months, I was like, if we don't hear from her, we're going to stop emailing. So of course I never heard from her. And I can't tell you how many times I got an out-of-state call or number calling me. I was like, this is from California. It could be right. But it wasn't. And then the day of my wedding, as I was walking down the aisle with my dad and I looked up and saw all my bridesmaids, there was a 3D printed cutout version of Ellen, waving. And for a quick second, I thought it was her, and it wasn't. But it was a cardboard cutout, and it made such a fun experience because we danced with her on the dance stage and then afterwards. So, yeah, of course.
That's great.
That, yep.
Oh, love it. Great. All right, so I'm going to give you a chance to push a little, shameless plug here. So if somebody wants to follow you on social and follow the Ortho Influencer, what's the best way for them to do so?
So I'm on Instagram, and it's the _Ortho_Influencer. And you can also find me on TikTok. These are 2 brand new accounts. And what I do is I use these to showcase and entertain and educate and influence the ortho community. I love showcasing all of the fun bracket and aligner systems that I use for the last 7 years, or even software programs. Plus, I love to make parodies of different types of patients you see, or different types of parents that come in and things like that. And then Facebook, my name is Janelle Baum. Same with LinkedIn. It's Janelle Baum, Janelle, and then Baum if you're listening to this. And so, yeah, I'm just a Fruit Loop in a world of Cheerios. I don't like to be normal with my content. I like to stand out and grab people's attention and make them laugh. That's all I know, and that's all I'm going to keep doing.
Say that one more time. Fruit Loops in a bowl of Cheerios?
Yep, I'm a Fruit Loop in a world of Cheerios.
I love it. I'm a Lucky Charms guy myself, but I appreciate it. So Janelle, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it, guys. Follow Janelle. She's awesome. She'll make you smile. She's really smart. She's great energy, and she's full of great information. So you'll be doing yourself a disservice if you don't follow her. Janelle, so thanks so much for joining us. Everybody in podcast land, thanks so much for watching, for listening, for being part of our family. And wish you all just happy smiles. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye,
Thank
Janelle.
you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.